is Mr. Warakam Paisan, President SMEs Thai Go International Trade Association.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Warakam from Thailand. Now I'm the President SME Thai Go Inter Association and Manager of Retail Thai Association. I'm glad to join this business summit today. First of all, I would like to thank you, Mr. Tharadon, invite me to join this business summit, and I'm happy and very happy, and would like to thank you for the PSB team for good help and kindly for me and my team. I would like to tell for everybody, now I have the business registered completely in India at the Kolkata city for import-export business, because I think many products from India very high quality and low price I can take to make the market of retail in Thailand, because I have good connection for owner of retail on Thailand, and I can take many products from Thailand to make the market in Indian. Because last time I take my member to join the exhibition in Kolkata city, 100 people, everybody successful, good sale every day. And now I would like to tell you more. All of my life, for 42 years ago, I don't dream to visit India, because many things in Indian in my bad record. Such as many people in India poor, and many people die on the river Kongkha. I don't want to visit India. After I go to India first time, I love India so much, because Indian people is lovely, kindness and smiley. Every time I meet to the Indian people, everybody talk with me, Namaskaran, Namaskaran. I'm happy every time. And now I go to India every month. Some month I go to India 4 times. And now I think many products in India very low cost and very high quality for Thai people, such as garlic oil. Garlic oil is for health. In Thailand so expensive, but in India it's very cheap and more. Now I have big volume order from Indonesia. Ginger, fresh ginger. I have ordered a big order from Indonesia. Every week, 100 metric ton. In Thailand, not enough. I think in Nagaland is maybe enough. In Nagaland or in Manipur or another in the northeastern Indian. And this month on 13 days, I will go to Nagaland first time for invest the pork bone, small factory in Nagaland, because Kun Tharadon tell me many people in northeastern Indian like to eat pork. I will invest this month on 13 days, and maybe I would like to open the retail shop, the name of Thai city in India, for maybe 4,000 square meters in Kolkata or New Delhi, if somebody can help me for sell only Thai product. And the same time, maybe I would like to open the retail for 5,000 square meters in Thailand, if somebody in India would like to meet for help. I'm happy today to meet everybody. After this time, I will go to India many times. I would like to tell you more. I love India so much. Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And we will welcome you with utmost happiness each time you come back to India. And yes, I'm sure there will be certain investors who would be wanting to invest in your venture. Pork definitely is eaten in very limited regions of the country, Northeast being one of them, Kerala and Goa being the others. And PhD Chamber had organized several events in the Northeast region last year, particularly on piggery and fisheries, because there is a lot of scope. So we hope you are able to find investors there. Our next speaker is Sri Arvind Varchasvi, Managing Director, Sri Sri Tattva. They have already given the art of living to the world and teaching people how to lead a stress-less life with inner peace and harmony. Welcome, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished speakers on the dais. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you at the PhD Chamber. The topic today is extremely interesting. It has a great mix of healthcare, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, and food processing. I'd like to take your attention to this fantastic topic and what India really has given across to the world. I'm sure that all us, being a part of the ASEAN countries, would recognize the fact that India has contributed so much to the world in terms of healthcare. We've had perhaps a great school of thought that considers that it's just not physical health that defines you as healthy, but also your mental state. India has given across Ayurveda to the world. Normally we know what's good for us and what we need to eat, and we also eat it. But what Ayurveda and also the Indian systems of medicine bring across is that what to eat and when to eat it. For example, all of us love curd rice. Curd rice would really calm us. But what would be extremely revengeful is that making a person eat curd rice in the afternoon and then later make him sit for a big session. So India has really researched, saying that right from food or right from agriculture, saying that where things need to be planted and how. You go across to the Indian villages, you'll really see as to how the produce could be naturally grown and the yield ratio would be much higher. There has been a lot of influence when it comes to the aspects as to how agriculture was done here in the country. But I think the world is also looking across back to India to see how we could bring across more natural systems of farming. Here, along with the entire ASEAN countries, I'm sure that there's a lot that what all countries could learn together to see that how we could bring across the best of agriculture. Why is this so important? Although being from the space of healthcare and pharmaceuticals, why am I focusing so much on agriculture? Is that if this is really not taken care of, then any traditional system of medicine that would need to flourish by the year 2030 would not have quality raw material. So it's extremely important for us, whether it's in the pharmaceuticals or in the healthcare industry, that we pay a little bit attention as to what the farmer requires and what is it that what we need to educate the farmer to ensure that their yield ratio increases through natural farming, through organic farming. Now coming to the aspect of healthcare, we normally cater to our bodily requirements, saying that we have blood pressure, we have sugar, we have a headache. And a lot of what healthcare has happened is it goes into the symptoms, saying that it's more symptomatic. But what Indian systems of medicine have actually championed is that it goes to the root cause, saying that, all right, you have a headache, okay, so what's really wrong? Is it your eyes? Is it your stomach? So small things like this really make a big difference. But one more thing that what we all need to understand is that while we speak about traditional systems, modern systems of medicine also do have the rightful place. When it comes to critical care and accidental care, there's nothing to beat allopathy. But when it comes to lifestyle changes and also answers that perhaps that what allopathy does not have, the Ayush systems of medicine definitely do. Ladies and gentlemen, a couple of years back, the Honorable Government of India has instituted an entire ministry for calling it the Ayush systems of medicine, bringing in across all the systems of medicine, including Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha and Homeopathy. This is something that what all ASEAN countries could really champion back home, and also along with their traditional systems of medicine. Why is this so important? Because in today's era, everybody just picks up the phone and says, all right, is this good for me? Yes or no. There's a lot of information. So it's extremely important that also for the traditional systems to come into the relevant testing of the modern day compliances. But then again, traditional systems are traditional systems and they also have their importance. We cannot compare an apple to a banana, but both of them are fruits and both of them are extremely tasty and good for us. Having said that, I feel that there are a lot of synergies that what the ASEAN countries can do together. One thing that what India can bring across to the world is quality raw material and also quality healthcare. So when we say healthcare, it's not just a doctor, but you also have yoga experts that would take care of your lifestyle disorders. A lot of these diseases that happen today are all lifestyle related. So the moment you attend a little bit to your lifestyle, saying that all right, what to eat, when to eat, a few breathing techniques, a little bit of meditation, a lot would change when it comes to our health. 2-3 decades ago, there would be a lot of prejudice against meditation and yoga. But I think in the advancement of technology, where information would travel far and wide, you would find places and countries that what you would not believe who would be interested in yoga and meditation are. Today, the art of living is there in 156 countries. It champions the cause of yoga and meditation, inspired by Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankarji, who's been a global peace ambassador, not only through peace outside, but also to inner peace as well, to bringing across yoga and meditation to the world. So I would leave all of you with this thought that health and healthcare is just not only treating your body and limiting to it, but also holistically looking as to how you could be a better person, both physically and mentally. And India is certainly a champion in that. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. I'll now call upon Dr. Anupam Sibal, Group Medical Director, Apollo Hospitals.
Good evening, distinguished colleagues. I'd like to thank the PhD Chamber and Dr. Subramaniam for this kind invitation. So let me tell you a little story. A lady in New York needs to see a specialist. She made an appointment a week earlier, and this appointment was from a call center in Chennai. So as she walks into the doctor's office, she's greeted by a nurse who, after training in Kerala and working in India, had spent a decade in UAE and had then moved to New York. She then goes to see the doctor who, after spending 5 years in India, had spent 15 years in the US and was now practicing in New York. The consult goes well. She leaves the doctor's office. The doctor starts to dictate his notes. The notes are out of a transcription center that is in Noida. She is told that she would only get part reimbursement for her treatment. So she decides to look overseas. She goes onto her computer and types medical tourism and gets 167 million entries in 0.1 second. She decides to come to India. She chooses a hospital that's accredited by Joint Commission International, JCI. JCI is headquartered in Chicago. That hospital in Delhi was accredited by 4 surveyors, 1 Singaporean, 1 from Turkey, 1 from Mexico, and 1 from Canada. She arrives in India and comes to see her consultant in the hospital, and she's greeted by someone who just moved back from Houston after spending 20 years there. The doctor orders some tests. The kits for those tests are made in Omaha, Nebraska. He orders an MRI. That MRI is produced in Japan. After all the consultation, the doctor decides to put her on a new medication that's produced by a British multinational, but most of the clinical trials were conducted in Malaysia, Philippines, and Indonesia. That is the reality of healthcare today. We are connected, perhaps more than we realize. And I think there is a fantastic opportunity for us in India to connect with our colleagues in ASEAN. There are so many similarities that we have, from Buddhism to the reliance that we have on family values, to the sense of pride that we have in our culture. But if you look at the opportunities, it's surprising that the total trade between India and ASEAN is just about $81 billion, which is half of what is between ASEAN and Korea, and a third of what is between ASEAN and Japan. So clearly there are opportunities, and I think India needs to reach out, and as part of our Look East policy, I think we are making an attempt to do that. ASEAN has half the population of India, but has a GDP of about $3.1 trillion, a bit higher than India's GDP at about 2.9. So what can we do in different areas of healthcare? Well, the first is medical tourism. The opportunity in India is going to hit about $9 billion next year. In ASEAN, it's going to be about $24 billion. So clearly ASEAN's done really well. Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand have been the leaders, and I think we in India can learn from how to promote our country overseas. But there is also this opportunity for us to be able to offer treatment that is not available in the ASEAN, and for which patients from the ASEAN will have to travel to the United States or to Europe. Let me give you two examples. Liver transplantation, for example, is infrequently performed in Singapore, and other than that, it isn't really performed in any other country in ASEAN. So a patient from the ASEAN would usually go to Japan, Korea or Taiwan and pay upwards of $100,000 US dollars. If they go to the US, they pay $300,000. But in India, for example, in Apollo Hospital, where we've done more than 3,400 transplants in patients from more than 50 countries, the cost is $33,000 US dollars. If you look at proton therapy for cancer, which is the most advanced radiation therapy, there isn't a single proton therapy unit outside Chennai, anywhere in the ASEAN or in Australia or New Zealand. So clearly, instead of spending $200,000 in the US, they can actually get that treatment in Chennai for $60,000. And perhaps we need to create awareness about some of our offerings in ASEAN. We also have the gift of Ayush, of Ayurveda, that I think we need to promote. Now, if you look at the pharmaceuticals industry, clearly India produces wonderful generics. We should hit about $19 billion next year. And with a lot of the patents going off patent in the next couple of years, there is a $55 billion opportunity for the Indian pharmaceutical industry. As of now, about 10% of all generics, 30% in terms of volume, 10% in terms of revenue in the United States is provided by Indian pharmaceuticals. And as the Indian pharmaceutical sales hit about $55 billion, in ASEAN it's about $40 billion, and there's clearly an opportunity for Indian pharmaceutical companies to reach out to the markets in ASEAN, and it's a great win-win situation because the cost of our medication is way lower than what anyone else can provide. There is another opportunity for us to learn from ASEAN. The life expectancy in ASEAN is 71, in India is 69, of course a lot better than at the time of independence when the life expectancy of an Indian was 34 years. But clearly there's an opportunity for us to get to where Singapore is, for example, at 83. Or to look at under 5 mortality, where India sits at about 39 and ASEAN is at 24. And I think the lesson there is greater spend of the GDP from the government to really enhance public services. And while we spend about 1.3%, and that's the government spend, there is in our national health policy a proposal for the spend to double. But that's something that we can learn from the ASEAN. And then I think the greatest opportunity really is in the kind of borderless world that we live in many ways, is to look at big data, to look at analytics, to look at IT, and IT really is going to transform the way healthcare is conducted the world over. And I'll just give you one or two examples of how far behind we are in healthcare in terms of technology. Now, all of you would remember those paper tickets that we used to take while traveling, and the first time that we actually did not have a ticket, we were worried that we would not be let inside the airport. But now nobody carries a ticket. But when you look at healthcare, we still rely on files, and we carry notes from one office to another. If we look at the connectivity between different softwares, if we look at connectivity between different hospital systems, if we look at on why a lot of the reporting that we have in radiology can't be virtual, or why is it that you have to go and see your doctor after 3 months if you're on warfarin, because all the doctor does is looks at your blood test and decides to alter the dose. Why do you have to travel 100 kilometers to actually do that when that can be done on the phone? So I think there are tremendous opportunities with machine learning, with AI, with information technology, and I think we in India need to reach out to partners in ASEAN to build a very strong, solid relationship. And as some wise man said that, and I can't find out who said it, our future is not going to be determined by the differences of the past, but by the commonalities of our future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sibir. I'll now request Dr. Meo Thant, Managing Director, Zar & Zar Company Limited, Myanmar, to give this address.